morning. As we continue, the Portfolio Committee on Finance in the Gauteng Provincial Legislature has a problem with the way in which money intended for conditional grants are being spent. A study has revealed that these grants are not reaching the right people and the projects that have been targeted. The committee is going to keep a close watch on this process, says the chairperson of the Gauteng Finance Committee, Mr. Sakiwe Kumalo. But to hear more about this matter, we now cross live to Mr. Kumalo, who is in our Auckland Park studio. Good morning, Mr. Kumalo, and thank you for joining us.
Morning, sir. How are you? Morning to the viewers.
Let's begin by asking you, what exactly is a conditional grant? What are we talking about here?
Firstly, let me say we take this opportunity to appreciate this invitation. I must say that the conditional grants process started because of the FIS study that we took 3 years ago in the financial years. The paper model of oversight in Gauteng requires that committees in the legislature, immediately after the budget has been presented to the House and the annual reports, then committees are supposed to undergo focus international studies on areas of concern that had been seen by the province, in the province.
What were those
Therefore,
areas?
In this regard,
what were those? What were those problems that you identified, Mr. Kumalo?
In this regard, in the province, we have identified that the expenditure on the conditional grants has not been reaching intended beneficiaries, or at times a conditional grants not utilized at all.
So what are you doing about it? What is your plan of action?
In realizing that, what the committee has said is that all departments in the province should ring fence all the funds that are specified for certain areas or programs, and therefore in that way the departments will be in a position to spend as required in relation to conditional grants.
You say that
we have identified.
Sorry to interrupt. You say that departments are spending the grants on unrelated matters as well. What do you mean by that, these unrelated matters?
Historically, what we found was that given the years, the 3 years that we are talking about, from 2008 to 2011, that in relation to these conditional grants, though we're talking about all departments, but we focus on the areas of agriculture, sports, arts, culture and recreation, and also infrastructure. And our study and the report is focusing on the three departments.
Can you give us an indication of which department you are actually talking about?
In this regard, what the province and national, remember that national gives these conditional grants to provinces. And in our situation, agriculture and rural development was given these conditional grants to look into school gardens, food gardens, community food gardens, and also homestead backyard food gardens, to ensure that in line with our priority of ensuring that we create decent work and alleviate poverty, these will be our focus areas. In sports, arts and culture and recreation, the focus was mainly on municipal libraries.
Mr. Kumalo, just finally, are you talking to your peers in other provinces as well? Do they experience similar problems with the spending on conditional grants?
The issue of spending on conditional grants, I would say that is a challenge to all provinces, but the spending pattern or not spending will differ from one province to the other. And addressing that will differ from one province and given the challenges in those provinces.
We have to wrap it there, Mr. Khumalo, but thank you very much for talking about your strategies in Gauteng province to get this thing right of spending on traditional grounds. We have to go for a break. We'll be back in a moment. Now, I've just been advised that we should carry on with our next story. Dr. Nkosazana has been a member of the First Parliament of Democratic South Africa since May 1994. During that time, she served in Cabinet as Minister of Health during the Mandela era, as Foreign Affairs Minister during the Mbeki term, and also when Kgalema Motlanthe took over from Mbeki in 2008. She then moved to Home Affairs in 2009 when Jacob Zuma became President. And now, 18 years down the line, she's leaving Cabinet and South Africa to take up a new role as one of the most influential decision makers on the African continent. She's heading for Addis Ababa, host city to the African Union, where she will now occupy the hot seat of Chairperson of the Africa Union Commission. Yesterday was time to say goodbye. Members across the political divide in both the National Assembly and the National Council of Provinces lauded the Minister for her achievements in all the departments that she had served during the past 18 years. Introducing the sitting, President Jacob Zuma said South Africa was honouring a patriot who has dedicated almost her entire adult life to serving humanity and the South African people in particular.
Assuming this responsibility of leading the AU Commission is a continuation of that tradition of breaking barriers, opening doors, and proving the capability of women in any responsibility or portfolio. She reminds us of many successful and inspirational women in African history and in our country. From 2009, she was given the mammoth task of turning the Department of Home Affairs around. She has turned it into one that is now succeeding in serving the people with efficiency, courtesy, and diligence. She has demonstrated that indeed government services can be delivered better.
Well, in replying to the debate, Dr. Dlamini-Zuma said that one of her dreams was that African stories should be told by an African media house and not by those who are from other countries.
We must tell our own story. And it should be possible, 54 countries, to have a Pan-African media house that communicates Africa's views to the world. The world hears us through BBC, through CNN, through Al Jazeera, through all other media except our own. And I think it's high time we look at having our own voice, because we keep saying our voice is not heard. Of course, if you are using somebody's mouth, it's not going to be heard. You must use your own. So, honorable members, let me conclude by just leaving you with these words. They are from a Russian author, Nikolai Ostrovsky, and I quote, "Man's dearest possession is life. It is given to him but once, and he must live it so as to feel no torturing regrets for wasted years. Never know the burning shame of a mean and petty past. So live that dying, he might say. All my life, all my strength were given to the finest cause in all the world, the fight for the liberation of mankind. I thank you.
And that brings us to the end of today's show. It's also the final show for this quarter. Parliament rises today for the spring recess, and members will only return to Cape Town during the second week of October to pick up on committee work. The next plenary will be on 23 October, while Finance Minister Pravin Gordhan is to table his medium-term budget policy framework the next day. We'll then hear how taxpayers' money is to be spent during the next 3 years. 23 October is also the date of our return to the screen. So it's a goodbye from all of us here at View from the House. And until next October then, tot ziens en hambak lahle.